Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Northwest Liberty News, picking the lock on the shackles of tyranny.
Machines are gonna fail, and the system's gonna fail.
The past is past, the future's now.
Don't look at me. I think these people are completely nuts.
Sometimes trouble just follows a man.
There is another organism on this planet that follows the same pattern. Do you know what it is? A virus.
Can't you stop your lips from flapping for 2 little minutes?
It's because I'm white.
I'm a man. I'm sensitive. I need to feel loved. I need to be desired.
I'm rapidly becoming a big underground success in this town.
It's a question of methods. Everybody wants results, but nobody wants to do what they have to do to get them done.
And now, coming to you live from Kalispell, Montana, brought to you by Northwest Liberty News, it's Montana Gazette Radio with your host, James White. Okay, I'm your host, James White. This is Montana Gazette Radio. Thanks so much for joining me here on this 23rd day of November 2020 on this in a snowy a snowy setting here in Kalispell. And if you're in Montana, excuse me for a second. If you're in Montana here and you've moved here recently, which a lot of people have, and you don't like the snow, you probably moved to the wrong spot because it snows here a lot, especially in the wintertime. And today's no different, but I was born and brought up in Michigan, so this doesn't bother me. I actually kind of like it, frankly. But so thanks so much for joining us here. We are on broadcasting on multiple different networks today. We're hoping here about 9:30 to have Mary Flynn O'Neil call into the show here. I've already communicated with her this morning. I know she's at work. I don't know if she can break away. She's going to try to call here at 10, or actually in about a half an hour, call here on the show and talk about Sidney Pollock and what's going, or Sidney Powell, I should say, and what's going on with, of course, that's her brother's attorney. If you've been following any of the news here recently, that's been the big thing that's been going around yesterday on the web is the Trump administration distancing themselves from Sidney Powell and her legal expertise. And I don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. Of course, they don't call me. However, I'm not going to throw Sidney Powell under the bus, not even close. I'm sure she has a tremendous reputation. I've been assured by those people that know her, and I have a couple of people that I know that do know her, and say that she's the real deal and that she's top shelf, and what she says is what she does. So I'm going to continue to hold the line and stand strong behind her and what she's doing. And, just continue to fight tyranny, folks, as you all should do too. Understand, you can probably see now in some of the stuff I'm going to be showing you here today here on this news report. It's coming. I've been talking about it for a long time. I've been talking about it for years and years and years, trying to tell people to get ready for what's coming up here. And this is basically an attempt to overthrow society as we know it. We have reached that crossroads in America, in the world, really. We've reached that fork in the road, folks. We've reached that fork in the road. The globalists, the powers that be, the elitists, they want us to go down one path, and that path leads to a deep, dark tyranny. The other path leads to liberty and freedom and constitutional principles, hopefully worldwide. That's the battle we're in right now, folks, and you are a part of it, whether you think you are or aren't. You are. If you're breathing and living, it's going to affect you one way or another. You can't just say, I don't really care about this. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to really, it's just too much. Hey, listen, everybody's going through it, right? It's a lot for everybody. Every day is like stress level 10 because news comes so fast and the news cycle changes so fast. And it's designed that way in a part, I believe, to in certain senses to demoralize us, to dishearten us. But we have to stand strong and we have to stay in the fight until the very end. And we appreciate you participating with us and joining us here in that endeavor. Okay, so we're going to talk about a few things today. We're going to talk about a few things today here on the broadcast. first of all, we're gonna hit over to the news here and check out the latest attempt at tyranny. And folks, here's what's here. I've talked about this before. Understand, they're trying the Great Reset. You've heard this term kicked around, the Great Reset, the Great Reset, the Great Reset. You've heard that term kicked around, and you're seeing some of the elements of it appear here on a day-to-day basis now. See, they're going to continue to move forward with their plan. It doesn't matter this other stuff that's going on with the election and with Trump and Biden and all that stuff. These doesn't stop these folks. See, these people continue to move forward. It doesn't really matter what's going on. They have a plan. They're on track. They stay on track, okay? That's why they've been so largely successful at dominating us worldwide, is because they stay on track. Us, we don't. We're fickle. We stab people in the back. We don't stand behind patriots. You know, we're really quick to jump on the bandwagon to demonize people, even, you know, in our own quote-unquote movement. These people don't do that. These people don't do that. Do they have their differences and disagreements? Sure. But generally speaking, they all come together sort of as one mind, and they move forward with their plan, and that's why they're able to dominate us. Understand, they divide. The way that they do is they divide us, and you see how divided we are as a nation right now. Have we ever been this divided before? Ever, since you can remember in your entire life? I can't remember being this divided ever in this country. This is to their advantage. This is to their advantage. Divide and conquer is not a new thing. This is a well-known, long-used military term, military strategy. And the reason that it's been so long used and it gets used over and over again is because it works. That's why it works. Divide and conquer works. As long as we continue to stay divided, we are going to be conquered. What they're doing, as you can see now, is they're pitting people against each other with the mask thing. Now the whole vaccine thing's coming out here where you're not going to be able to travel unless you have your vaccine. In Oregon, they're already calling, and I've said, and again, this is not like I have some sort of insight. It's just, if you analyze the news and you try to step back from it as much as you can and just take a look at the big picture, you can see these things developing. And I stated before here just a couple of days ago here in Oregon, and I'm going to hit the story first. You see this, what's going on in Oregon, and this is something I just talked about. Oregon's Democrat governor wants citizens to snitch over lockdown violations. They want their own citizens to snitch on each other. Now, I just did a radio show here a couple of days ago, and I said, they don't really need to be everywhere. If you watch the show, you remember I said that. They don't really need to be everywhere because they're going to get a cadre of wannabe dictators, fellow citizens of yours. They're going to act like they're spies. They're going to act like they're secret police. They're going to turn you in and are going to try to get you fined, your store closed, arrested, I suppose, if they can. Now, here's the thing. See, this just goes to show you just how far away we've went from what the actual truth is on things, okay? And how we've been duped and fooled, and people read headlines, and they don't look into things, and they don't investigate stuff, right? They don't. I'm going to play a little quick video here of Ron Gibson, who was on my show Friday, specifically, it's just a couple of minutes, specifically talking about the mandates. These executive orders by a governor doesn't even affect you as a citizen. It's not designed for you. It has no bearing over you, and it certainly can't be the reason that you close your store down and lose your business because the governor puts out an executive order. We're going to play this video real quick, and Ron Gibson's going to break it down and explain to you why the governor, in this particular one, I put this video out there for Governor Bullock, but it doesn't matter what town you're in or what your governor's name is. Okay, this holds true all the way across the country. Here we go. Let's play this quick video. Ron, let me pause you for a second, and then we'll go on to number 4 here. This is very timely right now. It's starting today. The governor of Montana has imposed another lockdown across the country. They're imposing more lockdowns. They're trying to force people to wear a mask, telling you can't leave your house. If you wear a mask, you get a fine. This is all not within any of their constitutional authority to do any of this stuff, is it, Ron? I mean, they have no, the governor can't just make a sweeping proclamation across the whole state that everybody's got to stay inside or got to close their business down or wear a mask. This goes way beyond their authority, does it not? I don't care what state you're in or what constitution you're looking at. They don't have the right to do that, do they, Ron?
Boy, you've hit a subject and right on the head of the nail. Let me share something with you folks of your listening audience here, Jim. And that is, it is grossly misunderstood. I've been in law for 48 years. My background is constitutional law. I'm not an attorney. I'm a lawyer. Okay? So let's take a look at that very subject. All of you, I'm sure, have heard, well, the governor issued an executive order. Let me explain to you what the real intent of an executive order is and how it's to be applied, okay? We'll just take a little short detour here because it's important. And that is the issue. The purpose for creating in our governing body an executive order was so that the governor or the president of the United States, in that particular case, gives a directive. That's what an executive order is. For the Defense Department here, for the Transportation Department, or the Health Department, or whatever that immediate cabinet is, it's that the governor gives a directive on a daily basis, and most generally, about what it is or business that they are to undertake. It has nothing to do with we, the public. And what people do not understand, we're sovereigns. We're sovereigns by creation of Almighty God. And sovereigns make and create government, and sovereigns are the creators of law, not the victims of law. And very few people even understand that.
Well, there you go, folks. Ron Gibson, later right there, 48 years as a lawyer, constitutional lawyer. And he stated here on this broadcast on Friday that these executive orders don't have any bearing over the general population at all. They can write them 7 days a week and 3 times on Sunday, and it makes no difference. A governor cannot make a sweeping proclamation to have you close down your business, put a mask on, you get arrested if you leave or if you don't comply. Not supposed to happen, folks. And the only reason it's happening is because we're allowing it to, for crying out loud, man. I've said this over and over again. We need to resist. We need to resist. We don't have to be violent. We don't have to break out arms. We don't got to grab a baseball bats and beat people over the head. None of this stuff has to happen. We don't have to do any of this stuff. We don't have to get violent. We can get angry. And we should be angry when people try to completely remove all of our rights, seemingly our basic human rights, okay? But we don't need to get violent. All we have to do is just say no. We're not going to comply. That's all you got to do. Look what they're doing in California, right? They are burning masks and defying the curfew. Of course, you saw the cops come out there and arrest everybody and throw them in jail, right? No, of course you didn't, because it's physically impossible for the police force to arrest every single person if they resist. They can't do it. It's impossible. They don't have enough room in the jail. They might as well put barbed wire around the whole country. I mean, folks, we have to be strong. We have to have courage. Have courage. So what are you worried about? That your neighbor's going to say, oh, look, they're not wearing a mask. Who cares? Who cares what your neighbor thinks? Who cares what your friends think? Who cares? They're not the ones they're not the guardians of your liberty. You are. You are. And if you let that go, if you let someone else dictate what you can put in your body. Here's the question, folks. Who owns your body? Do you own your body? Or does the government own your body? Because that's really what it comes down to, right? And it's basic level. You have to make that decision going forward because it's really, really important. I cannot stress to you how really, really important it is what I'm about to say here. You have to make a decision. Do you own your body and what goes into your body, or does the government and a government authority own your body and can dictate to you what you can put into it? If there's another argument out there, someone please put it in the chat room, because that's what it comes down to. Do you understand that if they're going to force you to take a vaccination or force you to do anything and put anything in your body, then they own you at that point. You're owned. You're owned by them. You're a slave. You might as well just go out and buy a pair of shackles and put them around your ankles and around your wrist, because that's basically you've basically reduced yourself to a slave at that point. So the problem that we're going to have here is, as I've stated before, it's not going to necessarily be the government. They can't be everywhere. Okay? They like to, but they can't. But who can be there is your neighbors that are going to snitch on you and try to call these people. These people right here, you should, if you find out anybody's calling the neighbor, you need to let that be known to everybody. You need to put their face up in the local restaurants, put it up in the local grocery stores, show pictures of their face, and say these are the people that turned their own citizens in to the government. You need to expose these people, right? You need to expose them for what they are. But people are not putting up with it. People are fighting back here in New Jersey. Let me go here. New Jersey governor heckled and called a name while he's eating a mask-free meal with his family. Of course, I think Governor Phil Murphy there is he's done 9 lockdowns in a row since March, telling you got to since March 9th, 30 days. The ninth time the governor has extended New Jersey's public health emergency since March 9th. But he doesn't have to wear a mask. No, Newsom goes to parties and he doesn't wear a mask. What does it take, folks? What is it going to take to see that we're being duped? We're being duped. And you know why? The reason they continue to do it? They're laughing at us behind the scenes. They're laughing at it going, I can't believe how foolish these people are. You literally let somebody in some parts of the country, some people that are hundreds of miles away from where you live and where you work and where your establishment is, tell you got to close your business. And now you're out of business. And now you're out of business. You'll never recover. You'll never recover because people like this, you allowed them to tell you what to do. Why? They're not even legally allowed to. All 9 of these mandates do not have to be followed by the citizenry, the at-large population. You don't have to listen to it. It doesn't apply to you. Again, it doesn't apply to you. It applies to the health department, or as Ron said in that video, whatever cabinet position. That's who the governor gives a directive to. And if they give it to the health department doesn't. We didn't vote for the health department. Who are they? They don't have a right to shut you down. Right? We need to know. The problem is, and this has been said on this show numerous times, if you don't know your rights, there's always going to be someone there to take advantage of it. Right? If you don't know it, they're going to walk all over you, as they've done. Can't believe how many businesses have been shut down in this country because they listen to these people and that don't even have a right to tell them what to do. Do you understand how duped we've been? It's all been a con. Now it's getting worse. It's getting worse. We see this now here. This is coming, folks. I don't know if you saw this. Passengers will need vaccine proof for international flights, warns Qantas boss. The outlook for the airline industry has been boosted by the prospect of mass inoculation and widespread rapid testing in the new year. So we've talked about this before. Passengers will need vaccine proof for international flights. Okay, you might say, I don't even fly internationally. It doesn't really bother me. Oh, that's just the start. Then it's going to be domestic flights. Then it's going to be At the gas station, you can't pump gas unless you flash your vaccine card to the pump there. And then it'll be grocery stores. Then you can't get into grocery stores or anywhere. The hospital, you have to have your vaccine. You get sick, you fall down, break your leg, you better know how to set it. You better be a doctor or have one that lives close by that's going to put your leg or your arm back in place for you and throw a cast on. Because if you go to the hospital, you're going to have to get vaccinated. That's what they're going to do. You may say first, well, you know, big deal. It's air. I don't even fly. I don't like to fly. You understand? They're going to make that circle smaller and smaller and smaller until you're isolated, until you can't do anything, until you comply. They may not kick your door down and try to stick a needle in your arm. They might. But what they will do is they will make your life so miserable and almost so unlivable because you won't be able to enjoy any of the normal accommodations that anybody else would enjoy who's been vaccinated, that you are they want to wear you down. The same thing they're doing here with the press. You can see the press right now. What they're doing with the Biden president-elect malarkey, false title that doesn't even exist. What are they trying to do? They're trying to wear you down. They're trying to exhaust you. They're trying to put it out at you every day. And I'm telling you, it's exhausting. There's no doubt about it. I'm in this every day, 7 days a week. It wears on you. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. And myself, thankfully, I've been somewhat conditioned because I've been doing this for many, many years, but others haven't. I mean, this is overwhelming to some folks. Some folks can't even talk about it. And that's what they want, see? What they want, because eventually what will happen is, here's how it's going to start. First, it's going to be people that don't want to talk about it anymore. I can't even deal with it anymore. Okay, that's fine. We won't even talk about it. And then those same people that can't talk about it, they're going to be the ones that are going to start making comments. Well, you know, you really should just concede the election, or whatever it is. You really should just get a vaccine. And then those same people that are worn out right now, that just don't want to talk about it, they're going to turn into the Stasi police, like Governor Brown wants them out there in Oregon. They're going to be the ones. They're going to be the ones that are going to turn against you. So when you feel that stress, and I know it's easy for me to say, not easy to do, but you gotta have courage. You gotta stand strong. You can't just let this go and say, I'm exhausted, I'm worn out. We're all worn out. We're all exhausted. Okay, we've all been doing this, me, for a long, long time. All right, a long time. There's been others that have done it longer than me and done certainly more work and spent more time on it than me, and I'm not saying that I'm great or anything like that. I'm just saying, I can tell you from someone that's on the front lines every day, it wears on you. It's taxing. I know this, okay? I feel you. I feel you. I do. I live it. But you gotta stand strong. I haven't felt well the last couple of weeks, really, but I'm feeling great still now. But we're in the fight of our lifetime. No one even has time to be sick. I don't even have time to really be sick. I'm trying, but I don't have time because we're in the fight of our lives right now. This is it. This is it. This is the big one. This is the big one. It really is, because you see now what is in store. You see now what's in store. Forced vaccinations. We'll never be unmasked again. We'll wear masks. No one will ever see anybody else's face ever again in public if their plan gets through. That's what they want. They want full-time masks. They want vaccinations. They want to control all of your finances. Everything's going to be tied in to one central location. And you know what? If you go down and do a radio show like I'm doing right now and they don't agree with it, they're just going to shut everything off. That's all. They'll just shut it off until you comply, until you comply, until you decide that you don't. I can't deal with this anymore. I have to comply. I can't even go to the grocery store. I can't eat. I can't get gas. But all these, what am I going to do? How am I going to live? And then what's going to happen is, you see it now, right? Your neighbors aren't going to support you. No. Understand? They're not going to support you. If they're weak and they give in and they take the vaccine, then now you've got an enemy. Because now they're going to, well, I took it. You should take it. You're going to get 4 or 5 of those people together, and they're going to try to wear you down to join the herd. They want you to be part of the herd. No one likes people that stray away from the herd, right? They get ostracized. They get belittled. That's what happens. And no one likes to do that. Who likes to live that life? They know this. They know human nature. People want to generally be accepted. They want to be accepted into the group. It's a psychological dictatorship. They have this stuff all figured out. They're smarter than we are. They are. They are. Because they're more evil. And they do evil things. And they have evil plans. They got this stuff all figured out. And you think, well, they're not smarter than us. Oh, really? Oh, really? How many people across the country are wearing masks and closed their businesses because they couldn't serve people because they listened to our overlords? They outsmarted us, folks. They outsmarted all of us. They tricked us all. They have been for years. They're smarter than us. They are. They're smarter than us. Look where they are. Look where we are. Right? I go into the store here just a couple days ago, yesterday. Most everybody's still wearing a mask. Most everybody. Now, no one gives you a hard time, and they're here. They pretty much let people do what they want to do, generally. But the fact of the matter is, you look around and go, what part of the box that you bought that mask from? The box said, the box that mask that you're wearing came in had a warning that said it doesn't protect against COVID-19. If you're watching this show right here, listen to this broadcast, and you have one of those boxes, don't believe me. Go look yourself. Look on the side. Because for insurance company purposes, they have to put disclaimers on there so people don't sue them out of business. They put a disclaimer. This mask does not stop COVID-19 right on the box. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. How about the people that are wearing masks all the time that still get COVID-19? How do you explain that one? Can someone please explain that one to me? Same thing like, you don't want a kid not vaccinated around your kid. Well, why does it matter? Your kid's been vaccinated. I mean, what do you care? Your child's protected. Your child has the vaccine. Why do you care if my child has the vaccine or not? Right? If you're wearing a mask and you're protected, why would you care if I'm wearing one or not? Because it's not about any of that. No, it's about these little mini Hitlers, these little statists, these people that think they have some kind of power. And boy, if they have even a little bit, they're going to make sure they exercise it. Because most people live meaningless lives that are weak, and they come home, sit down, drink beer, watch TV, and that's their life. Right? Now they have a chance to actually tell someone else what to do and have a little bit of power. Boy, they're going to exercise that as vociferously as they possibly can. And you see this happening. And now you got the governor who is not even legally supposed to be, she could put out the executive order, but you don't have to follow it if you're there. You don't have to. Well, they're going to arrest you. Then let them arrest you, right? That just adds one more piece of evidence to the tyranny for your case against them that you have, whether you believe it or not. They don't have the authority to do this. They don't. We're going to take a quick commercial break here. Mary Flynn O'Neil is supposed to be calling in here to the show. I don't know. Like I said, she's at work, and I don't know if she can call in or not. I hope she can. I talked to her a little bit earlier. I texted her, or messaged her earlier, and she said she would try to be here. So we're going to take a quick commercial break here, pay some bills. We'll get back on the other side. Hopefully, we have Mary Flynn O'Neil here on the line with us. If not, we'll just continue to cover the news. She may call back here in a little while. As I said, she's at work, so I can't really fault her for that. So be back in a minute here. James White, Northwest Liberty News, Montana Gazette Radio.
If you like classic cars, exceptional service, and a money-back guarantee, then the Corner Shop in beautiful downtown Kalispell is the place for you. Whether it's an oil change, engine diagnostic, suspension work, or brakes all around, the Corner Shop has you covered. With expert technicians and a free consultation on all services, you can't go wrong with the Corner Shop. Did I mention the classic cars? While you are waiting for your expert service to be performed, take a stroll through the showroom to see Kalispell's smoothest collection of classic cars. The corner shop is conveniently located at 1212 South Main, just south of the courthouse. The corner shop is open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m., so drop by for an appointment or call 755-7777. That's 755-7777. The Corner Shop, Kalispell's full-service auto repair facility.
PatriotPrepared.com carries the leading brands of storable food from Legacy and Heaven's Harvest. Patriot Prepared. Our name says it all. We're dedicated to empowering you to be self-reliant and confident in any circumstance. Whether you want to be prepared in the event of an emergency or you're an outdoor sports enthusiast, PatriotPrepared.com has prepackaged meals and kits for your entire family. Legacy, Heaven's Harvest are known for high-quality, great-tasting, GMO-free, nutritious food with no chemical preservatives. Simple to prepare, easy to store, gluten-free and organic high-quality nutrition options with a 25-year shelf life. You can't beat the feeling of being food secure when you need it most. So go to PatriotPrepared.com right now to pick up your supply of high-quality storable food for your family, because it makes good sense to be prepared. That's PatriotPrepared.com.
Okay, folks, if you want to support this broadcast, you can support it by supporting our sponsors. If you're in Kalispell and you need car repairs, I would suggest you go to the corner shop and talk to Dan there or anybody on his fine team. They'll be happy to take care of all of your car service needs. And if you're looking to prep up, you can go to PatriotPrepared.com. That's PatriotPrepared.com and see the full line of products that we have there. If you don't have any storable food, probably not a bad time to get some. You can go, like I said, to PatriotPrepared.com. I know that some of the smaller packages are sold out, but the larger packages are certainly there and available for you. And all the purchases there help support this broadcast. We're brought to you here today by Montana Gazette Radio and Northwest Liberty News. You can go to MontanaGazetteRadio.com. It's MontanaGazetteRadio.com or MontanaDailyGazette.com. and check out what's going on there. Or you can always go to the flagship northwestlibertynews.com. I don't really spend a lot of time updating that these days. So many websites, I just can't update all of them and do radio show and everything else. But please support us that way if you want to. northwestlibertynews.com. It's northwestlibertynews.com. Okay, we are waiting for Mary Flynn O'Neil to call in here. I just tried to call her and didn't get her on the line. As I said, she's at work. So I don't know. She said this morning that she would said she would call in at 9:30, but she hasn't called in yet. Perhaps she will. We're going to just stay here. I'll keep the phone lines, the call-in line here on the viewer, and if she calls in, I'll bring her on here as soon as I can. But we're going to have the plan is to have her on here because she wants to. We need to support Sidney Powell, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to have her on the show. We support Sidney Powell here on this show, on this broadcast. And here's the fact of the matter, folks. We support anybody that's trying to take down tyranny, right? We support anybody that is in the fight to try to end this tyranny, this global tyranny. Folks, before you know it, if you don't get in the battle, before you know it, you're going to have a vaccine before your car's going to start. They have the technology these days. Look what they do with the drunk driving thing. They put the drunk driving thing, I don't even know how that works, but I think you got to blow into it or something before you can drive. Never had to do that, but of what I'm told, they have that technology. Maybe they don't even use that still. I don't know. But they have before, right? You had to blow into something or do some tests before your car would start. You don't think how much more sophisticated you think they are now? You don't think they could put it to some way where you have to flash your ID badge on some device they send you in the mail or your insurance company, right? That's probably how they'll do it. They'll probably say your insurance company is going to require you to have a vaccine, and they'll come up with some BS reason why you have to have it. And they say, well, you can't drive without insurance. So, if I want to have insurance and be able to drive, I guess I better have to get that vaccine. Do you understand? They're going to continue. They're not going to stop. They're going to go, oh, it's just flights? No problem. I'll just never go on an international flight again. Okay, honey, great. What's for dinner? Nope. Ain't going to be that way. You wish. Nope. They're not going to stop, see? You know why? You know why? Because they're evil criminals that want to take over the world and subject you to slavery. That's why. That's their mission. They're very well funded. Okay? They've planned it for a long time, right? And they have the will. See, that's what we lack. Okay? We lack what they have great abundance of. That's why they control us. It's will, right? Their will doesn't stop. They continue to move forward. I don't know. Yeah, maybe Trump didn't. He said some things on Twitter that really, I don't know if I'm going to vote for him. And this Sidney Powell, she's, maybe she's not really. See what happens? They don't have that. They don't have that. They have a plan. It's world domination. They have a lot of participants that are involved in it. And they continue to move forward. They have tremendous will and desire to see their plan come to fruition. While we sit back and argue with one another and fight amongst ourselves and burn our cities down and pull people out of cars and beat them down. See, that's what we're doing here. What are they doing? They're planning every day. They're executing their plan. They have long-term goals. They have elements in place to make this happen. They're charging forward like a disciplined army. We're burning cities down and disenfranchising our own fellow Americans by burning out the building that they use for livelihood. We burn it down. I say we, but you know what I mean. This is what we're doing here in this country. They're planning world takeover. And they're not going to stop because they see that we're in disarray here. I mean, that's the best time to take somebody over, when they're confused and they're infighting. I mean, do you understand? This is a battle. We're in a war. You have to have a war mentality. Okay? This isn't just a social engineering thing, or this is no, this is a war. We're in a hot war today, right now. And you better get your mind on the fact that we're in one. We're in a hot war today. They're trying to take us over right now. It's the time to sit back is over. If this doesn't motivate you, again, what are they going to have to do? Kick your door down and have their way with your wife in front of you on the couch before you finally decide to stand up? Because that will come eventually. Mark my words. If you do nothing, that's what it'll come down to. I don't know. People should be marching in the streets all across the country. Well, I don't have time for that. We're going to let them take care of it. No, they're not going to. No one's going to take care of anything. Hey, no one is going to take care of anything except for you. That's who. It's always been you. It's always been us. Always. They've just now they're trying to get us in a position where you're bad if you want freedom. Do you understand? They're making freedom a crime and a penalty. We're trying to penalize you for wanting to be free. You're ostracized. Do you see the creeping tyranny? How much more clear do they have to be? What else do they have to do? Folks, they flaunt their own rules. They tell you what you need to do, and then they do what they want to do. We should be marching in the streets all across the country. These people are crooks. Criminals run things, folks. And criminals need to be apprehended. They can't stop all of us. They can't stop. Well, that's revolutionary talk, Jim. So be it. What's the other alternative? A deep, dark tyranny like this country's never seen before? Believe me, if their plan comes to fruition, you'll wish you had death. Get together with your neighbors. Talk to your friends. There's other people in your neighborhood that are as ticked off about this as I am. Now, thankfully, it's not bad here yet. Got a call coming in on the line here. I didn't open the phones. 4 calls. It's not Mary Flynn. It's somebody here from Montana. The rules of the phone line, and I have to say it, but you don't have to agree with me. That's fine. Just be respectful and don't use vulgarity because we're not a vulgar show. It's very hard for me not to be that way, but I try not to. Let's see who's on the line here. Caller, thanks for calling in. You're live on the air. Please state your name and the city of Montana.
Good morning, James.
Who's this? Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, James. This is Dave up here in Whitefish. How are you?
My good friend Dave Von Kleist. How are you, my brother?
I'm doing just fine. Chin up, my friend. All kinds of things are happening, and you are so correct. This is the Third World War. It's not being fought in a conventional way. It's a cyber war, and we are witnessing it unfold right before our very eyes, for those of us who have eyes to see. I was really shocked when Attorney Lynn Wood was saying in an interview that we are going to defeat, and he said this, the satanic ritual monsters that are out there. They're going to jail. And I just couldn't believe it. He mentioned the pedogate, the Wiener laptop, the Hunter Biden laptop, and all of these things. They're all tied together. They're all the same players. The COVID-19 wonks who've been pushing this agenda. I know it's a real virus. Yes, it's a bad one. I know several people who've had it, and they were very sick with a fever and the whole 9 yards. I've been sick like that before. So have you. So is everybody out there listening. But the point is that the COVID thing has been created not just to make a political distraction, of course, during this election year, but it's also about control. The masking is about control. The social distancing is about control. Common sense has gone right out the window for most Americans. I mean, when you go to the supermarket or the convenience store, many of them have now put up these plexiglass barriers so you can get within that 6 feet of social distancing and carry on your transaction, get your food items, and pay. Now, why didn't they put those plexiglass barriers up where they were counting the ballots? Oh, my gosh, face palm, bang. My gosh, then all of the observers could have done their jobs, couldn't they, Jim? But see, they didn't even think about that. They had to put all the observers out, 30, 40, 50 feet away. And this is one of the controversies, one of the issues that Sidney Powell has been bringing to the table. So, I mean, all of this thing, the election fraud, the COVID-19 hype, the masking, all of the economic woes that have been created, and then you couple that together with, of course, the satanic Luciferian religion that is indeed worldwide. I'm sorry, people think of the major religions. They think it's Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Well, there's a fourth, and that is Luciferianism, and that is just as big as the other three. But they don't like to talk about that. I think you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I do indeed, folks.
Your take on this. I mean, I see the same players. I see everybody. I see Fauci. I see Gates. I see Soros, the Clintons. I mean, all of these people they've got their fingers in every single one of the issues that I just mentioned. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree. And folks, we're joined by really a 9/11 legend. We were very fortunate to have Dave Von Kleist call in here. He's, of course, the producer of In Plain Sight, which is one of the best 9/11 videos I think that I'd ever seen back in the time, way back in the day. And Dave doesn't live very far from here. He's been on the show here, and we're always great to have him here in the studio, and always delighted when you call in, Dave. No, I agree with you 100%. And this is, it's no coincidence, Dave, that you've heard of Agenda 21 and what's coming up here in about a month.
Oh,
2021. This is not like, this hasn't been a secret. This isn't anything that's been hidden behind. They've been talking about it. I've done 24 shows on Agenda 21. I've had the experts in the world on the broadcast here, literally on my broadcast, talking about it. And here it is, coming right down to it, and they're pulling the trigger on it right now with this great reset. That's Agenda 21 by a different name, folks. That's all that is. You know what it all ultimately means, though? It means slavery for each and every one of us that are not an elite. That's what it means. I don't care what you call it, David. Well, the ultimate goal is slavery for everyone except the elite.
Well, Jim, you and I talked about this, and I believe that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There are good people out there fighting a good fight. I mean, as we speak, there are special forces teams all over the world that are working to be able to, shall we say, in a very quiet way, get some of these monsters and get some of their key players under control. How do I say this? And I mentioned this to you. Forgive me if I'm repeating this, because I know I was with you in the studio there a couple of weeks ago. But if I turn the clock back to '96, when I was married to Joyce Wiley, and she and I were the American Gulf War Veterans Association, we caught the attention of some very interesting people when Joyce testified before the Presidential Commission on Gulf War Syndrome. And I broke out my guitar and sang a song about the Gulf War vets into the record, which was promptly deleted. But the point is that we were invited to sit in on a very interesting meeting. And this is only a week or two after the Presidential Commission hearing. Excuse me. And this meeting consisted of some very high-level military and intel. And for the life of me, I could not remember one name if you were to ask me. But the gist of the meeting was basically to recap what had happened over this past century. The industrialists, the bankers, and the organized crime families all got together and basically put together a plot to basically take over the country. And yeah, we call it the deep state these days. And they basically they accomplished their goal when they took out John F. Kennedy. And we've been pretty much living under their thumb since that time. This is the same cast of characters that Eisenhower tried to warn us about the military-industrial complex.
That's right.
Who were behind it.
That's right.
Okay. And this consisted of both Republicans and Democrats. And again, we're talking 70 years ago. And many of them had already been involved in these very dark, secret society worshiping. We've all heard about Bohemian Grove. We've all heard about Skull and Bones. Those things are real. Do people actually think that they get together at Bohemian Grove and have human sacrifices in effigy? In effigy? Now, wait a second. We're talking about the most powerful people on the planet, and they're going to get together and make pretend? That ain't going to happen. They've been doing this stuff for centuries. And these are the people, again, they're both Republicans and Democrats that have been involved with this. Now, since that time, the political field was narrowed down to two basic families. There were the Bushes and the Clintons. The Clintons, of course, connected to the Rhodes family and, yes, the Rockefellers, and so were the Bush family. But the bottom line here is that since that time, the Bush family has sort of run its course. We had, of course, Prescott Bush, World War II. We had George Herbert Walker Bush during the 60s and 70s. And, of course, he became CIA director. And there's a lot of people out there that believe he had his hands in the Kennedy assassination, myself included. And then, of course, there was G.W. Now, the thing is that since that time, the Bush family has sort of fallen away. I mean, Jeb Bush is a non-starter at this point. And so as they've been fading into the sunset, there have been more conservatives, good conservatives, getting into the Republican Party. Now, the Democratic Party is still under the control of the Clinton cabal. And that's the way it is. And I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is when you look at the power structure. So the point is that we do have good people, good conservatives in there. Now, in this meeting, again, they recapped what had happened over this past century. And they said, look, we've got to take this country back. And it's not going to happen in a week or a month or a year. It's going to take decades for us to get our ducks in a row. I mean, after all, it took them decades to put their ducks in a row and pull off their assassination. So it's going to take us decades. But we are going to vet very intensely all the people who come into this organization because we are the good guys. And I quote, "We are the white hats." Now, this was in 96. I didn't think too much about that. I mean, we've all heard, bad guys wear the black hat in the old movies and good guys wear the white hats. But what's happened in this past couple of years since Trump was elected, we've seen all of these sex trafficking busts all over the country and all over the world. And a lot of them are very high profile. I mean, since Trump got into office, we've seen Harvey Weinstein, we've seen Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Prince William, Bill Clinton, the Lolita Express. We're seeing all of this exposure of these disgusting rituals that these elitists, these globalists have been involved with. We're talking about evil as it gets. And these are the people who have been running the entire Western world. Because it's not just the United States. It's, many, many other countries in Europe. The sad thing is that because the U.S. dollar is the reserve currency, the influence that the Clintons and the Democrats and the Bidens have all over the world is pretty much beyond most people's ability to comprehend. It's not just the United States that they've got their fingers in. It's all over the world. And this is what's being exposed. And of course, they don't like the exposure. So they have to do everything that they can to draw attention away. It's sort of like the magician's going to flail his right hand in your face so you don't see what the left hand is doing.
Correct.
So the right hand all of a sudden gave us COVID-19. Now think about it, Jim. 2 years ago, all over the world, there were yellow vest protests. People in Spain, France, Italy, Germany, England, everywhere. And then in Hong Kong, there were millions of people in the streets protesting. Now, world leaders don't like it when people are out in the streets. It doesn't make them look good. So how would they get all the streets to get cleared? And how would they create a distraction big enough so people would stop talking about all these sexual rituals? Bingo. A global virus. How convenient. So we've got these ritualistic practices going on. We have the same people who are involved in those practices that have their fingers in the COVID-19 hype, and those same fingers are also involved in what we're seeing right now with the voter fraud. Can anybody out there connect dots and start to understand that, Jim, what you were saying just a few minutes ago is absolutely true? We are in a world war right now. But be happy, because there are good people out there. Like I said, in 96, they said that they were the white hats. We're the good guys. And it's going to take us decades to get our act together. Well, I think what we're seeing right now with Sidney Powell, Lynn Wood, and all of the good people, the reassignment, the realignment of the Supreme Court, the circuit courts right now, the fact that Special Forces now has been reassigned and is under different command. We're seeing all kinds of maneuvering right now that is scaring the deep state to death. I believe the white hats are very hard at work right now, and we are going to see some very, very earth-shaking changes in the next 2 months. I'm with you. I'm with you.
I agree that there are people out there, the white hats out there, that are working hard to try to end this tyranny and take out these global overlords. But and with all respect, of course, my good brother, it doesn't keep us. It doesn't absolve us from getting up and doing something. Everybody across. And I can't believe that people in Oregon aren't marching together on the Capitol to letting people know. Sure, there's white hats out there that are trying to help and trying to solve this for us, but we still have to be the ones, right? We still have to let them know that we're behind them. We support them. We're taking to the streets, and we're not going to put up with it anymore. There is some benefit to that, David. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. And I certainly didn't want to impose complacency on the listenership out there. No. This is a time to stand up and be proud and understand that we are not alone in this fight. Just because the mainstream media, I'm sitting here this morning, I usually turn on the TV to get the local weather. And of course, all the media wonks are talking about President-elect Biden. He needs to get his transition team together. Okay, they're always pumping this president-elect. This decision has not been made yet. Not one state is certified. Yeah, they certified and then they rescinded the certification. There's so much going on right now to decide what's going on with this election and with the voter fraud system. That's something that they didn't even mention this morning on the networks. They don't talk about Dominion voting machines. They don't talk about the Smartmatic voting machines. They don't talk about Serbia or Germany or Barcelona or Canada or all these other countries where they all were counting votes. I mean, you talk about international election interference. I mean, this is going on wholesale across the board. But the mainstream media isn't going to talk to you about that. They're going to keep on pushing President-elect Biden. President-elect Biden. Trump team is trying to throw the election. So what they're doing is they're polarizing the liberal Democrats right now. They're trying to push them to make them actually believe that the election has been decided. It has not been decided. And when they find out that this voter fraud is very real, when Sidney Powell and Lynn Wood and all the other legal teams get together, they're going to be putting out their evidence this week. And when they hit the courtrooms, there are a lot of people on the left whose heads are going to explode. And they may not even accept that. We will see, some violence in the streets, Antifa, BLM, and all the other Soros-backed radical groups. They will go to town, but they will be met with equal response, if not overwhelming response. So yes, there are going to be some very difficult times coming up because the media, every network. I mean, you know how long I've been screaming about the propaganda networks. I mean, my first album was entitled "Will Someone Listen?" and on that there was a song called "You Won't Be Trusted Anymore." It was about the fake news. That's 25 years ago. So people are going to find out that these networks have been part of a massive propaganda machine. And I believe that all the networks will be cleared out. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. So, I mean, I do think massive changes are coming. And when they do start to happen, a lot of the people on the left are just not going to be able to accept it. So there will be some turmoil. But I do think that this whole thing is going to come to a head very soon. And yeah, if we're going to be giving a rebirth of our nation, don't forget that with birth comes labor pains. So we're going to see some very strange times, but keep smiling because I do think this is going to come out a whole lot better than anybody really imagines. And yes, we all have to stand up and be part of it. Be proud.
Folks, we're joined here by Dave Von Kleist. If you tuned in to hear Mary Flynn O'Neil, she's at work and was going to be calling into the show. She may still. I don't know. We, as I stated, she's at work and she was going to try to call in here. If we don't get her on today, I'll get her on tomorrow or the next day. Like I said, I chatted with her this morning, but we're the bonus is we have Dave Von Kleist here with us, who called in, and he, of course, as I stated before, is really one of the top researchers surrounding the 9/11 incident. And Dave, not to revert back to that, I know we had a show on this before, but what you just mentioned earlier, all the trafficking and all of the voter fraud and all of that, 9/11 ties into that as well. These are all the same folks. All the same folks that want to do the Great Reset right now and force you vaccinated, those are the same folks behind 9/11 and most all of these false flag operations that are going on across the country. And does it seem odd to anybody since Trump's been president? We haven't had school shootings. We haven't had these big false flags and these bombings and all that stuff. Why? Why do you think that is? Because it's all been designed to instill fear in the population, because when people are fearful, they give up their rights. That's why they do it. David, I said earlier that if we don't stand up, we're going to have our vaccination certificate before we're going to be able to start our vehicle. People may think, well, that's crazy, Jim. I'm telling you, Dave, if they could do it, they would. Is that an exaggeration? They will continue to close the circle that we can operate in to the point where we can barely leave our house if they have their way. Am I off on that?
No, you're not at all, and this is exactly where they're going. They realize that their window of opportunity is closing rapidly. David Rockefeller made a statement, I think it was in 91, where he was thanking the networks for keeping all of their plans under wraps. They wouldn't have been able to get as far as they had. And, of course, we're talking 30 years ago. And I know that they wanted to have their new world order installed officially sooner than now. But unfortunately for them, people have been waking up over the past couple decades, and now there is a tsunami of awakening going on, not just here in the States, but all over the world. So their window of opportunity is closing rapidly, which is why they're hyping the hell out of this CV-19, and they're pushing through these the vaccines. As a matter of fact, we got Moderna and we have Pfizer. Moderna's announced that they have a vaccine that's 90% effective, and Pfizer says it's 70% effective. Wait, stop, think. How could they possibly make those statements that they're that effective when they haven't even administered the vaccines yet? They haven't done any trials yet. So they are absolutely throwing out as much propaganda and as many lies as they can to get people ready, because they want to have these vaccines administered as they want them yesterday. They want them a decade ago. And their window of opportunity is closing. So they have to push this, fast track these vaccines. Klaus Schwab, from the World Economic Forum, is talking about the global reset. The reset is the vaccine. The reset is connecting every human being into AI and their world financial system, so that if you don't comply, they just shut you off and you cannot buy food or get medical or anything else. That's what this vaccine
and
is
5G is included in that too. Why do you think such the push for 5G?
Oh, yeah.
Right, folks? What we need to do, what we all need to do, and I would humbly submit to you, if you can do it, step back, take a 30,000-foot view of things. It's so difficult, David, because we're bombarded with news every day. The news cycle changes so fast. There's so much drama. Everything's like level 10 type of intensity with everything that's going on, because we're fighting for our country. But we need to take a 30,000-foot view and say, look at all the stuff that's been in place, folks, that's been put in place here just recently. You don't think this is all part of their big plan? And again, we just have to resist. We just have to resist. They can't possibly, there's not enough jails on the planet to put us all in it, to put us all in jail. If we just stand up and say no, that's a force that they cannot reckon with, David. But you know what? They see everybody putting their mask on. They see everybody being obedient. So they just charge forward because they go, why shouldn't we? They're not going to stop us. They're not going to stop us. Everybody's got a mask on. 98% of the people got a mask on. We're winning. That's what they're thinking. They're thinking they're winning. What, David?
Did I lose you?
Yeah, I said they're thinking they're winning. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, you mentioned just a couple of seconds ago, is there enough prison room for them to lock us all up? Well, that's part of their plan. I mentioned that there's a documentary that we produced called One Nation Under Siege. And in that, and I played that clip for you the last time I saw you, I was talking about Rex 84, which was a plan back in the 80s to basically, when they were shutting down the military bases and cutting back on expenditures, and they were, but they didn't really close them down. They renovated them, and now the barbed wire fences that used to face out face in. They used to want to keep people on the outside of the base from getting in. Now the barbed wire goes the other way to keep people from the inside of the base from getting out. Now they have these camps all over the country. New Zealand has openly been discussing detaining people for not getting tested for COVID-19. That was in the news. New Zealand's going to be doing that.
True story. Yep.
And
True
Australia's got their plans. Yep. Yeah. And Canada's got their teams all in place and their camps all in place. And then, of course, here in the United States, we've got the FEMA camps. So, yes, there is a plan to quarantine or lock up or detain people who don't comply. Either they don't comply for the test or they don't comply for the vaccine, but this is their plan. They want to force vaccinate the entire world, and they've got to get it done now before the masses wake up.
And something else
are waking up.
And something else, folks, to put in this 30,000-foot view plan. Look how hard they've been trying to get guns out of people's hands. Do you understand? Because they know that an armed population is going to resist. They want you to be helpless and subject to their slavery and not resist and go right along with their New World Order plan, their Great Reset. That's what they want you to do, see? And they want to dumb you down with vaccinations to do it. They want to spray chemicals in the air. It's all a big plan to take over the world and subject you to be nothing more than a common slave. That's what they want you to be. They want you to be slaves. We're already slaves, Dave. They steal how much of our labor, right? If we have to get a permit to go fish, a permit to hunt, a permit to everything, we're already enslaved. They just want to complete the circle and make us slaves in unimaginable bondage and tyranny. That's their final goal. But that's the only thing that's left for them. Physical slavery.
Well, there's a lyric in one of my songs was oh, excuse me, I've got two songs going on in my head. Like I said, I've got these patriotic tunes, but one of them is there are those who don't believe this evil story could be true, but if you look and think, you'll see just what they've done to you. A third of all your labor every year they tax away, and how they spend your money you don't have a right to say. But our country's now's awakened, and our eyes are open wide. We see how they've deceived us, and we know just how they lied. It's time for restoration. Yes, it's time to do what's right. And although we may not want to, if we have to, we will fight. And that's the lyric from, one of the lyrics from a song called Forever Vigilant.
And that's another thing that people don't know.
Hear the entire song.
Go ahead, David. I was just going to plug you, man. I was just going to plug you and say, go ahead.
Go to my website.
Yes.
DaveVonCleist.com. It's right there. You can listen to it. There's links to the documentary films. I have nothing to sell, by the way. I don't want anybody out there to think, oh, he's just trying to, sell a video. People who are selling those videos on eBay or selling my music, I don't know who they are. They're selling the stuff. They get the money. I have no clue. I have nothing to sell. I have no skin in this game. My concern is to save this republic. That's it. It's always been that way, and it always will be. It's not about money or praise or accolades or, kudos, any of that stuff. If people are in it for the ego or the money, they're in it for the wrong reason. And that's why I dropped out of the 9/11 truth movement, 12 years ago, 11 years ago. It was polluted by greed, just like everything else.
Folks, Dave is that's one of the parts I think that outside of Dave Von Kleist that people aren't aware of is his tremendous musical talent. And I can say firsthand, I went and saw him play here locally, a couple 2-3 months ago. I think you really enjoy his song. His songs have a lot of meaning, especially now. Do you know, David? It looks like you have some, look like you're prescient. I mean, some of the things that you're writing about in the songs that you put together, like you said, 15, 20, 25 years ago. Man, it seems like you could have wrote them last week.
Yeah, I know, it's scary, and what's happened this past year, I don't know why this is happening, but I've got people contacting me that I haven't heard from in 15 or 20 years, and they say, "Hey, Dave, look what we just found," and they send me a video of me doing my thing like back in '98. I mean, there was a song that I wrote called "Prevail," and you would think that, like you just said, it was written for today. And let me see if I can remember the lyric. There's something happening. People know that. Let me try again. There's something happening. People know that things aren't right. We're in the dark. It's black as night. And when the ones who see the truth try to convey, they're ridiculed and turned away. But now it's time for us to see there really is conspiracy. If we don't act, we won't be free. We must be brave or be a slave. I wrote that, 22, 23, 24 years ago, and it is happening now. It really, really is. That's why I'm so shocked. People send me this, Dave, you did this 20 freaking years ago. And my jaw drops because I didn't even think about this stuff for a long time. When I left the truth movement and I left the country, I went to Argentina for 6.5 years. I didn't want to have anything to do with Dave Von Kleist, patriot, balladeer, documentary producer, radio talk show host. I wanted that whole persona to go away. Leave me alone. It was just too much. My head exploded. I burned out. I found out. I went way down the rabbit hole, and I'm just a regular guy. I'm not trained for this. It blew my mind when I found out about the sex trafficking and the Satan worshiping and the sacrifices. I mean, I spent hours and hours and hours with Ted Gunderson from the FBI. He was investigating this whole thing. I met him during the Oklahoma City bombing investigation. And, he and I spent hours talking about, how this international, sex trafficking, Satan worshiping had not just been institutionalized, but industrialized. A multi-trillion-dollar international business. It's bigger than the drug trade. I mean, they're breeding children underground for sex and for experimentation and for sacrifices. This is real. And this is what blew my mind so many years ago. And I just couldn't deal with it anymore. So that's why I left the entire movement. And now it's sort of like it's a big, long piece of political toilet paper stuck to my shoe, and it's coming back to haunt me again. People contact me, Dave, you were right. Dave, Dave. Oh, gosh, am I going to get drawn into this thing again? I don't want to. I just want to live my life in peace. But I see what's happening, and I saw it happening way back then. People weren't ready to hear it. Maybe they're ready to hear it now. I don't know. I just don't want the responsibility, or I don't want the weight on my shoulders again, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe God is putting it to me. I don't know. How long have I been talking to you about reawakening this radio persona?
Well, you're
a year? Oh, not quite a year now, but.
Well, you're multi-talented guy. You're a multi-talented guy, David, and it's certainly a tremendous asset to, I guess you could say, the movement. So, I welcome you. You're welcome to come on here in anytime. Let people know here, David. I'm gonna go ahead and I was waiting for Mary Flynn to call in. Doesn't look like she's gonna be able to call in today. So I'm gonna wind down the broadcast here. Where can people find out more about you and more about your work? And I know you don't do a lot of radio these days, and you've probably been on my show more than you have been on others here recently. But maybe that'll change here. I know we've been talking about that, about doing something more, doing more. But where can people find out more about you right now, David? And they can find out about your music and the stuff that you've done and your videos that you've produced for 9/11 that have just been classics. I mean, just some of the best videos put out there for 9/11 were done by this man here on the phone, Dave Von Kleist. Go ahead, David.
Well, I don't have anything booked to sell. I don't have a video to sell. I have no skin in this game. This is not about monetary gain. If you'd like to watch the videos for free or listen to my music for free, you could go to YouTube and search my name, Dave Von Kleist. You can go to my website, DaveVonKleist.com, and there are some links there to lots of stuff that I've done over the years. But you can YouTube me. You can go to the website. You could do a search, and you'll find some crazy stuff out there. Dave Von Kleist, CIA plant, or skinhead, or Mossad agent. I mean, they put a whole bunch of weird stuff out there back in the 90s and 2000s. As they say, if you're not catching flack, you're not over the target. So again, I have no skin in the game. I have nothing to sell. I just want the information to get out there, and hopefully you put it in a form that is entertaining and sometimes bring a smile to your face. So go to DaveVonKleist.com and have a ball. Share it with your friends.
Dave Von Kleist, again, a true legend when it comes to 9/11 and the research and all the information that was put out surrounding that, and we're delighted to call you friend, Dave, and that you live here close and you've been in the studio and to come on my show and give me a call, and I appreciate that so much. And keep up the fight, man. You're a tremendous asset to the good guys, and we look forward to continuing
thank you so much.
Work with you. You're welcome, David. Of course.
Well, thanks so much. But again, it's not about me. It never was about me, and I've never been comfortable with self-promotion or pats on the back and kudos. That's not why I do it. That's not what it's about. It's about the message. It's not about the messenger. So I appreciate the kind words and all that stuff. But again, I'm just a regular guy. I just have an ability to be able to discern between what's right and what's wrong and verbalize it and put it to music occasionally. So, but thank you so much, and I hope that the listeners out there will enjoy what I have to offer out there on the internet.
Dave Von Kleist, thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk soon, brother. Appreciate it.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Okay, there goes Dave Von Kleist. We appreciate him calling in. Again, we were waiting for Mary Flynn to call in here. She's at work. I don't know if she'll be able to. It doesn't look like she's going to be able to call in today, but we'll reach back out to her. Something must have came up. Like I said, I texted her this morning, and she's going to come on. But those things happen, folks. I mean, you know, she's, you know, what's going on with her family and General Flynn and Sidney Powell and everything. I mean, who the heck knows what's going on? I mean, it's a crazy time. I want to hit a couple more things here really quick before we close out the show. I just wanted to finish up a couple of these news articles here. Last time before we got the call, we talked about the passengers will need vaccine for international flights. And this also from today, China wants passenger tracking system for global travel coronavirus reset. That's what they want, folks. They want QR code system where you can, if you don't get vaccinated, you can't fly. Again, they're just going to continue to close the circle. They're going to continue to make that circle smaller and smaller and smaller until you can barely leave your house unless you're vaccinated. You're going to need to get a vaccine to go get your mail. If you catch your mail, if you have to walk out in the street to get your mail, you'll have to probably show your vaccine card before you can actually open the box. I know that's probably a little bit of an exaggeration, probably not too much. Probably not too much. Appreciate you looking in here today, folks, on this. Got a lot of other work to do. Got some articles to write here for Montana Daily Gazette. I have one in the queue and one I'm working on, but we'll be posting some more articles here today and tomorrow. I'm sure there's a lot going on here locally in Montana too, politically, that I've been talking to some of the legislators about that, and we may get one or two of them on the show here to talk about some of those things. But keep your head up, folks, and keep in the fight. Continue to have courage. That's if I can impart anything upon you before we leave this broadcast, have courage, stand tall, be strong, don't give up. Right? Stay true till the end of the fight, as difficult as it may be. Believe me when I tell you, everything is riding on it. Everything is riding on it. It could not be more serious in this country and in this world than it is right now. We are in the most serious, intense battle for humanity that's ever probably occurred in this world, perhaps, certainly in this country. And the way we're going to win is for you to be active. Thanks so much for looking in on the broadcast. We'll be back again here tomorrow. I'm going to eventually go on to, I don't even know if I'm doing, forgot this week is holiday week. I'm going to do shorter news broadcasts more often throughout the day, shorter, more news briefs. Right now I'm still doing the interview style, but that's changing soon. Thanks so much for looking in here on the broadcast. MontanaGazetteRadio.com, MontanaGazetteRadio.com, MontanaDailyGazette.com, and NorthwestLibertyNews.com. Till next time, James White for Montana Gazette Radio saying bye now.